Germany's defeat in World War II was due to ambition. Explanation of the cause of Germany's defeat. Hitler was stubborn and imposed his will, including in war strategy. Especially Adolf Hitler led Germany with a dictatorial leadership style. He also imposed the ideology of fascism. Hitler was known as an ambitious leader. He emphasized the purity of the German race as an Aryan nation. In addition, he had the ambition to rule the entire European continent. This then led to the outbreak of war, which made Germany suffer. Adolf Hitler led Germany with stubborn thinking. He often imposed his will. If his will was opposed, he did not hesitate to punish or even kill his opponents. In fact, Hitler intervened in war strategy issues that had actually been thought about by his generals. Dunkirk Tragedy. This is also one of Germany's mistakes that caused them to lose World War II when they surrounded British, French, and Belgian troops in Dunkirk. At that time, Hitler, who ruled Germany, only gave orders to attack as needed. In fact, historians argue that if at that time the German military had finished off the opposing troops in Dunkirk, 50% of the victory would have been on their side. In fact, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill said at that time that if his army was destroyed at Dunkirk, the Allies could lose the war. Operation Barbarossa. Another mistake Hitler made that caused Germany to lose World War II was Operation Barbarossa in 1941. At that time, Germany almost controlled most of the Soviet Union. In fact, the German army was ready to invade and conquer Moscow. Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union at that time, was worried about the movement of the German army. Stalin ordered his troops to be moved to guard Moscow to defend the country's capital. However, Hitler decided to control Ukraine and the Caucasus, which were rich in oil, rather than seizing Moscow. This made German generals Franz Halder and Gerd von Rundstedt protest Hitler's decision. They thought that if the Soviet Union was defeated, Ukraine and the Caucasus would be easier for Germany to control. This opportunity was used by the Soviet army to retaliate against the German attack. In the end, the Soviet troops managed to repel the German military. Germany was not ready for war. After World War II ended, many high-ranking German military officers were tried. In addition to military officers, there was Albert Speer, who served as the German Minister of War Industry. In a trial in Nuremberg, Speer said that Germany under Adolf Hitler's leadership was not ready for war. However, Hitler, who was ambitious to control all of Europe, waged war too early. Speer said that in the 1930s to 1940s, Germany was actively building war support equipment. He argued that the German war industry was not 100% ready to fight another country. Speer argued that Germany would be ready for war in 1945. Hitler's decision to wage war in 1939 was the main reason Germany lost the war. Germany did not have a long-term strategy to defeat its opponents. Germany lacked fuel and transportation. Germany surrendered unconditionally to the Allies on May 8, 1945. Germany's surrender occurred after Adolf Hitler committed suicide in Berlin. After Germany surrendered, the Allies divided Germany into 4 zones, each controlled by one country: the United States, the Soviet Union, Great Britain and France.